Toronto, everyone. I am here covering the Toronto International Film Festival, but I was not missing a week of box office predictions, but you're getting a short and sweet video today. But first, before we jump into the numbers, we've got two sets of Fantasy Movie League shout-outs to give. One is for the players who got the perfect lineup last weekend, and we had 5 of them. Final week of the summer season. Those perfect lineup players were Mos Eisley, after all this time, always, the Cineplex of Picard Earl Grey, Sean Cineplex, and What's in the Box. Huge congratulations to you guys. That is quite the achievement, but I'm sorry to have to do this to you, but it wasn't good enough to win the season because our summer season winner is our spring season winner, and it is Furiosa. Furiosa is just crushing the competition. I am super impressed. I wound up coming in 25th for the summer season. I am now determined to make that number go up. I want to be higher in the rankings the next time around, so that is going to be my goal. Now, let's recap what happened last weekend at the box office. So, it was actually the newcomers that got me more so than anything. I pretty much underestimated all of them. But first, we had Crazy Rich Asians with a total of $28.6 million for the full holiday weekend in that top spot yet again. Number 2 went to The Meg, which took in another $13.8 million. And then it was Mission Impossible Fallout with $9.3 million. Happy Time Murders fell hard, and in fact it fell so hard that it had absolutely no chance at snagging that number 4 spot. Instead, it went to Operation Finale, which kicked off its run with $7.9 million for the 4-day weekend. And while my amount was pretty spot on for Disney's Christopher Robin, Searching wound up topping it with $7.6 million for that 5th position. Rolling into this week's lineup now, for number 5, I actually think I'm going to give the edge to Searching. There is a chance that we could see Mission Impossible Fallout in this spot, but it's 6 weeks into its theatrical run. I think it is going to start dying down about now, and I think Searching is going to wind up with some really strong word of mouth. In order to get this number 5 position, I think Searching is going to need, let's say, a minimal 35% dip, but I think that's going to happen. So I'm giving it that 35% drop, which would give it another $4 million for the weekend. Now moving on to number 4, I have another big release that is starting to see its theatrical run wind down. It's The Meg. I don't think The Meg is going to have any trouble whatsoever securing this number 4 spot, especially with how well it's been performing the last couple of weeks. Of course, it had that really minimal 17.8% dip last weekend because of the holiday weekend. That's not happening again, but what I do think is going to happen with its percent change is I think the number is going to fall somewhere in between what it lost in weekend 2 and 3. And if that's what happens, it's going to drop about 47%, and that would still give it another $5.5 million to take to the bank this weekend. Now at number 3, I have a newcomer. It's Peppermint. Looking at the early ticket sales for this one, it does look like it could make a nice chunk of change, and it might even wind up nipping at John Wick's heels a little bit. When John Wick first opened up back in 2014, its opening weekend haul was $14.4 million. I don't think Peppermint's going to get there, but I am predicting that it's going to kick off its run with $12 million. Next up in the number 2 position, I've got Crazy Rich Asians. So yeah, this one is finally losing that top spot, but that doesn't mean it's going to do poorly this weekend whatsoever. In fact, I think we're going to have yet another weekend where we see this one make a good deal of money. Looking at its percent changes thus far, weekend 2, a mere 6.4%. That was just crazy. Then for the holiday, 11.5%. And yeah, that percent change has to come up, especially with the holiday in the rearview mirror, but I don't think that percent change is coming up any higher than 35%. And if it does wind up taking specifically a 35% hit, it's still making another $14.3 million. Now, of course, at number 1, I've got a newcomer that really could rock the box office this weekend. It's The Nun. Originally, I was thinking The Nun would have a very solid start, but with something more like $30 million. But now I'm seeing reports from Fandango that's saying it's outpacing all of the other Conjuring movies. So if I look at that franchise and its highest opening weekend thus far, that brings us back to the first Conjuring movie. It opened with $41.9 million. I think The Nun is going to top that with an even $45 million of its own. That brings us to our recap portion of the episode now. I've got The Nun at number 1 with $45 million. Crazy Rich Asians coming in at number 2 with $14.3 million. Then it's Peppermint at 3 with $12 million. And then The Meg at number 4 with $5.5 million. And finally, Searching, rounding out the top 5 with $4 million. There it is, guys. Those are my predictions. Drop yours in the comments section below. And don't forget, sign up for Fantasy Movie League. A new season is upon us. Let's all see if we can take down Furiosa, even though Furiosa has a crazy track record. So I don't know how it's going to happen, but we'll see. Now, of course, I have some Patreon shoutouts to give, and I've got 4 of them today, and they are all Patreon veterans. They are Brian, Clifford, Jason, and Dylan. How many thank yous have you guys received at this point? Probably a lot, because you've stuck with the campaign for a while, but they are not stopping, and I'm going to give you another one right now. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It really does mean a lot to me that you're here. It also means a lot to me that all of you out there are watching this video, so again, thank you. And please don't forget to like and share this video, and tune back in next weekend to see how we all did on our box office predictions.